Today is one of the coldest days that we have experienced so far this season, and it's days like this I am extremely grateful that we have a wood stove in our great room. I thought I would bring you along today as I experiment with a new bread recipe that I have been wanting to make for a while, and I figured what better day than today when my wood stove is blazing in the other room, and it will make a nice spot for my bread to rise. And I decided I'm going to make some homemade chili, and I'm going to share that recipe with you as well. So I'm going to enjoy this cup of coffee, and once my coffee is done, we are going to bundle up and head outside to take care of some outdoor chores. It is really cold outside. You know, my chickens are spoiled. They eat like this every single day. Warm corn, warm eggs, grain, mealworms, and some fruit today since I'm not going to let them out of the coop. I don't want them to get bored like chickens tend to do, so a couple extra special treats. Let's just see how cold they are. Hey girls, what's your temp? Oh my gosh, you guys are cold, huh? My little fluffy hen's cold. Ooh, you are so cold. Is that good? You're eating your nice hot eggies? Huh? Snugged up to that heat of my babies. The heat lamp is doing nothing for them, but they do have the radiant panel, which they are up next to. I just gave them fresh water, and I'm going to have to come out here a few more times today and change that water out because it's cold. It's warmer than it is outside, but it's still very cold in here. I cannot get over how cold it is outside. This is freezing cold. But it is a perfect day to bake bread and make some chili, and might even make donuts today. We'll see. But let's get this chili going. I'm able to scratch off several cans from my pantry inventory to help me with my pantry challenge and using up all these extras I seem to have on hand. Because I have a freezer full of venison and not everybody in my family cares for venison very much, this is a great way for me to sneak it in. So I'm doing a pound of venison and a pound of ground Hamburg. And I'm just adding my spices like garlic salt and cumin, paprika, onion powder, things like that. And I am just going to cook this up until there is no pink left. I do adjust the seasonings further, so this ain't it yet. What are you doing? What are you doing? Mama! No, we're cooking.
I'm making cinnamon rolls with frosting.
Ooh, yum yum.
You've never had one of those.
What's that? You're silly. Very heavy bottom saucepan, I am going to add my different tomato bases, the sauce, the puree. I'm going to add all of my beans in there, and then I am also going to add the cooked beef and venison. I'm going to stir that all up, and I'm going to tweak my seasonings a little bit more and add a little more chili powder, a little more cumin, garlic powder, onion powder. If you wanted to spice this up, you totally could do so with some hot sauce or some chili pepper flakes. But because we have kids in the house, I like to keep it mild, and then we can spice up the bowls as we make them. So I found this recipe online. It is for a jalapeno cheddar Dutch oven bread. It is by the Chunky Chef, and it sounds absolutely delicious. So we're gonna make this and let it rise by the wood stove today. It's gonna be good. This is gonna go great with that chili, I think. Let's get going. The exact measurements are available for printing in the description by following the link, but I am basically adding some bread flour, some kosher salt, some freshly shredded cheddar cheese. I'm going to mix that all up and I'm going to add some diced jalapeno to that. You could definitely add more or less if you want. Now I'm going to get some yeast proofing, and when that's ready, I am going to incorporate everything together in the big bowl. Is a real sticky dough. So it's not going to really, you know, not be sticky. I don't know how else to say it, but we're just going to cover it and get it over by the fire to let it rise for 1 hour. This little girl has her papa wrapped around her finger because, yes, that is a swing in our great room attached to our beam for that little one to enjoy when it is far too cold to take her outside. But don't let that little face fool you. She's a terror. The bread is rising nicely by the fire, and oh my gosh, I wish you could smell this. It's time to do a chicken check. And I'm telling you, I was just outside. It is flipping cold. After the first hour, pull the dough from the edges towards the center, creating a ball. Cover and let it rise again for an hour. Just shredding up some grass-fed cheddar cheese and dicing up some more jalapenos for the top of the bread. I am getting a second loaf going the exact same way. I wanted to make two loaves, but I wanted to space them out an hour each for baking. So I'm just doing the exact same steps to create a second loaf that I am going to incorporate. And once there's no more flour trace left, I will put a cloth on top and get that over by the wood stove to rise for an hour as well. Always try to remember to take off my rings when working with flour in the kitchen. So I'm just going to prepare my surface now by sprinkling down some flour. I am going to turn the dough out. I have also floured my hands nicely. I am basically going to flip this over and pat off the extra. Then I'm going to pull the edges towards the center, creating a nice round ball. I'm going to set that on top of my parchment paper, again, folding it under, trying to keep a nice shape to it. And I am going to carefully put that in the preheated Dutch oven, put the lid on, and into the oven. It's going to go for a half hour. Oh, this smells amazing. My second dough is ready to go in the oven, so I'm basically just going to complete the exact same steps. I'm just going to turn it out onto a lightly floured surface, get it all off, tuck the ends in, make it a nice ball, if you will, on the parchment paper. For this one, though, I'm going to score an X on the top of it. And once I have that scored in, I'm actually going to spray it with some avocado oil and I'm going to sprinkle some more cheddar cheese and put some jalapeno slices on the top of this one. I just think that's going to make the top of it look super pretty and it gives it a little bit more flavor. I'm going to add the parchment paper and the dough to my preheated hot cast iron Dutch oven, and that's going back in the oven with the lid on for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, remove the lid and let it cook for another 20 minutes without the lid on. Oh my Lord, I wish you could smell this. So good. The bread is done. It's time to take it out of the oven. Oh my Lord, this just smells so good. Outside of this bread has a perfect crust on it, and that cheese has just melted down to a crunchy texture on top with those jalapenos. Like, I literally cannot wait to eat this. Yum. This bread is so soft and airy. It is not too dense at all. This literally came out perfect. And the only thing that will make it better is some melted butter on top. Oh my gosh. You are dying to take a bite out of this and taste it. It's okay. You can admit it. I am right there with you. This delicious hearty chili is filled with beans and meat, topped with cheese. I'll add some sour cream, maybe some cowboy candy. And this delectable jalapeno cheddar bread is absolutely out of this world. It has this amazing crunching texture on the outside. The jalapenos add that amazing flavor that only the jalapeno can provide, and yet the inside is nice and soft and airy, and it just tastes absolutely delicious with the butter. This was a perfect cold winter day meal. Well, thank you so much for joining me. If you're new to my channel, I do hope you'll consider hitting that subscribe button. I make new videos every week and you never know what they're going to be about. So you definitely want to smash that notification bell so you will never miss them. One thing's for sure, it's always about creating my handmade home one day at a time.